going on, everybody? It is Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm Ty. I'm one-third of the most powerful hosting crew in the veteran podcast world. We've got a great show today. I want to give a thanks to our guest from last week, Major General retired William Hickman, Commanding General of Fort Polk, Assistant Division Commander for the O and the S at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Thanks a lot for him coming on, shared a lot of insight. Today we do have Jason Redman. We're probably going to talk about his 3 books. Probably going to talk a little bit about Extortion 17. We'll talk about Operation Red Wings, but we'll also talk about this. Attention all who enter here. If you are coming into this room with sorrow or feel sorry for my wounds, go elsewhere. The wounds I received, I got in a job I love, doing it for people I love, supporting the freedom of a country I deeply love. I am incredibly tough and will make a full recovery. What is full? That is the absolute utmost physically my body has the ability to recover. Then I will push that about 20% further through sheer mental tenacity. This room you're about to enter is a room of fun, optimism, and intense rapid growth. If you are not prepared for that, go elsewhere. The management. Well, we'll be talking about that, but before I get you to that, let me get you over to Matt Johnston and Al Hero. What's going on with you there, Matt?
Nothing, it's Thursday. We're back. I just want to say hello to Carlos from Seattle. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you tuning in on travel, and the Cashes are back in the house. Al told us they were coming. You guys finally got through that witness protection thing. I'm super proud of you. That's really, really good. Exciting show today. We can't wait to talk to our guest. I'm sure a lot of you that are in the space that we occupy.
Lose Matt?
Yeah, I think we lost Matt.
Damn, Matt. What's going on? Got that old bootleg ass internet. No, I just want to tell all my salty, seasoned veterans out there. If you're going to the gym, make sure you warm up. Limber up, warm up, stretch. Because today I was on the machine, the little leg curl machine, and pulled a damn hammy. My old ass pulled a hammy. The dude beside me was like, "You okay?" I was like, "I'm fucking leaving." And I literally got up, got my keys, and went on to the house. So I didn't push myself. I didn't pull a Jason Redman. I didn't go 20% more. My ass took my old ass onto the house and got the heating pad out. So just so you know, if you get to my age, work out, train hard, but fucking stretch and limber up. That's all I'm going to say. Because daddy hurt his leg. Daddy got an injury. So now daddy's limping around. So there we go. Oh, Matt's back. Got that bootleg internet fixed. Okay.
It's not bootleg internet. I started talking about the Cashes being in witness protection, and it cut me off. So I'm sorry. I let everybody know y'all's secret.
Yeah, shout out to my battle boo, Kevin Cash, man. I'm glad you're back in the building, bro. I'm excited to have you on here to watch. I know I've missed you, man. I've missed my battle boo. So
yeah. Hey, I don't know what Carlos is talking about, and I don't know what you do that you have to lube up first in the gym. But I mean, he is in Seattle right now, bro.
Here's all I know is it started burning immediately, bro. I'd already squatted and did lunges and already did my cardio and was like, I'm gonna do this little leg curl machine because it does something to you. It does. Yeah. It fucking hurts. That's what I know. Yeah. Like it's an injured. I'm injured. I'm hurt. I'm not out.
Are you hurt or injured? There's a difference.
Yeah. I'm hurt. I ain't injured. I'm still going back tomorrow.
I like it. Well, Ty, we're here. It's going to be a super exciting show. I can't wait for it. And I know I think we should just jump right in. I know we've got someone special on the line that's going to talk in the beginning here about a couple things that are coming up. So I'm going to turn it over to you so we can get right into that, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Today on the show, before we get Navy SEAL Officer Jason Redman on, we're going to have Jen Lee. She is the promoter for the Dandy Deets Memorial Cook-Off. She's a friend of the show. She's one of the best promoters in all of the cook-off game, especially in Texas. And her team, herself and Tom Clark, got a bung pool, and they're going to the Jack Daniels, the World Championship in Lynchburg, Tennessee. So let's bring Jen Lee on right now. What's up, Jen?
Hey. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's real still.
Oh, it's real.
Congratulations.
That is a huge deal. Congratulations.
It's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean,
I would go just for Jack Daniels.
Happen again, so we are thrilled.
Well, I would go just for Jack Daniels. That's what I'm saying. Let's just go.
No, you're going to go next year, Jen, because when you win it this year, you'll have to go back next year.
Well, only 2 ways to get in to win 7 GCs in a calendar year, or you have to have your bung pulled, which sounds really gross in the way they say that, but you have to have your
Carlos is lubing up.
pulled. Got to have your number pulled. And I think, what did she say, Ty? There was 348 names in that barrel.
Yeah.
And
we your name got pulled.
Good things happen to good people. That's what you need to know right there.
Well, I think Jen got a call there real quick, or maybe it's a bad internet, but I do want to talk about this real quick. The Battle for the Paddle. It is September 12th and 13th in Waller, Texas, at the Jellystone. There you go, Jen. At the Jellystone RV Park. It's a really amazing cook-off. Go ahead and wax poetic a little bit about it, Miss Jen.
So this is my fifth year. Yes, this is my 5th year as the promoter. All proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go back to the Navy SEAL Dana Dietz Foundation. And our foundation is primarily focused on, we provide grants for Gold Star families, surviving spouses, first responders, caregivers. We focus on PTSD treatments that are not typically approved through VA benefits or traditional healthcare. Have seen some amazing changes in some individuals over the past 5 years that I know personally. Cook-off is a KCBS sanctioned. It's 4 meats. $50,000 payout. We will have Bart Crow playing Friday night. 50,000 cash dollars. Actually, they're checks, but still, $50,000. The Battle for the Paddle, that's what we call it. The ultimate trophy, I don't care what anybody says in the cook-off world. It is a handcrafted paddle from a Navy SEAL. And you don't just get those, right? Those aren't just out on the street for someone to get. So, buckles, of course. And we do an MRE challenge, which is something that's a little different. We provide them with 2 packages of the same MRE protein and let them go to town. They got to create something that's edible. And you'd be surprised. There's some really good stuff that's come out of that. I'm shocked, but yeah.
Beef stew, MRE, and chili mac.
Those are one of the choices, yes.
Delicious.
I think it's like beef stew, chili mac, regular seasoned ground beef, sausage and peppers, and tuna.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's what Al's going to get, that tuna.
Damn, bro.
You know, Grandma
they can't make it
recipe,
easy for you. Al gonna make that. What is the tuna a la king? That was the MRE.
Hey, bro, when I was in Iraq, I was like the resident guru MRE cookbook. I could whip up some gnarly shit.
Well, I mean, they gave you directions on how to do it.
No. I could
bro.
whip up some gourmet shit with an MRE.
So I've heard it's equated to like people that go to jail. Like jail, they have their food creations. And the military has their food creations. Like it's kind of the same. I'm like, well,
yeah, you gotta do.
It sound like okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited because Al Hero gets to cook with Carlos.
I'll be cooking with Carlos. I can't wait. I'm super excited. To be able to have an opportunity to cook with a master like Carlos.
All I gotta say, Albert, is you be sending us some pictures of some damn barbecue on a grill, and if you come to this cook-off and your shit don't look like the pictures you're sending, I already know you was on the internet screenshot. That's all I'm saying.
First of all, let me explain something real quick. Carlos is the man, and I'm all about winning. We don't play just because we're trying to play. I'm out here to be competitive and to fucking win. Winners win. That's what me and Carlos are about to do. Okay, winners win.
There you
Anything other than first is second loser. We're not playing.
Bro, we're letting you back into the state of Texas. That's a win already. So
we're gonna have to give Al a lot of hugs, I think.
Well, Jen, I want to introduce our guest, but I want you to stay on and talk to him real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes.
But you guys mind if I go ahead and introduce him?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Jason Redman, retired Navy SEAL, inspirational speaker. Jason Redman is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL lieutenant, author, speaker, coach, and entrepreneur with a powerful story of overcoming adversity and inspiring others. Here's a breakdown of his military career and accomplishments. for the podcast. He was enlisted as a SEAL in the U.S. Navy in 1992. Spent 11 years as an enlisted SEAL, completed SEAL BUDS training 95, and was deployed on counter-narcotics missions in Colombia and Peru. He transitioned to officer with the Seaman to Admiral program and was commissioned as a Navy SEAL officer in 2004. Combat deployments deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, including serving as an assault force commander. He was in Ranger School in 2006. The combat injury and recovery, he had a fierce firefight in 2007. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the sign on the door, I'm sure, and we're going to talk about the extensive recovery he went through. But in his retirement, Redman retired from the Navy in 2013 after 21 years of experience. He's a motivational speaker and coach. He founded the Soft Spoken, a company where he shares his story and leadership lessons. He's an author, New York Times best-selling author, and he's an advocate for veterans, and he's an ambassador for the Gary Sinise Foundation. Some of the talking points we're going to talk about today are overcoming adversity, leadership and teamwork. I mean, everyone's heard his story, but we're going to talk about that as well. But post-traumatic growth, the overcome mindset, and the significance of the sign on the door. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about today are just about mindset. And if these warriors that are the sharpest tool in the American shed for warfare, they have a mindset that is like no other. So if you apply some of these mindsets, just like we learned with the 5 SEAL secrets from William Branham, you apply some of these things to your regular life, it's going to make you better. So without further ado, let's bring on Jason Redman. How's it going, sir?
Hello. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
LT, what's going on?
Well, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey,
welcome
Jason.
to the show.
Hey, what's up, Jen? How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, we just crossed paths not too long ago.
Oh, look, Erica just popped up. Say hi, Jason's on. How are you?
What's up, my dear? Good to see you.
We are at a, I guess it's just a recognition thing for 300 Justice Road for the barbecue cook team, and the operators that went to assist in the recovery and flood efforts over in Hunt.
Oh, right on. I know that Marcus was, I talked to Marcus a couple of times, and I know he was heavily involved in that. So. Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, some of your boys are here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, as it should be. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for what you guys are continuing to do.
Well, hey, Jen, we appreciate you checking in with us. We're going to let you drop there real quick, but yeah, I think she froze up anyway.
Yeah.
But without further ado, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, Jason, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time. I know it's valuable in the busy world that we live in today. We're just excited that we get to talk to you and just give you another platform to talk about mindset, overcoming, staying positive, and things like that. We normally, we like to start our shows off with just learning about our guests, but I would argue that if you've been in the veteran space long enough, people know who you are. So rather than going through the whole where you're from, where'd you grow up, and stuff like that, what we would like to do is start off kind of at the end, per se, where it all started for you. If you wouldn't mind, you can give overview of your career if you would like to, but if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about what happened initially for you and what led up going into the hospital, and then all of that journey afterwards, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Yeah, Matt, no problem. Yeah, you guys kind of summarized my career. So young enlisted kid, I was 17 when I joined the Navy. The delayed entry program, for those who remember that program. There was no direct pipeline to SEAL training back then. I was actually dumb enough to believe the recruiter when he said, "Hey, when you get to boot camp, there'll be a SEAL that comes around at some point, and he'll ask if anybody wants to try out for SEAL training." And I banked my career on that, but he was right. It did happen that way. And that obviously led me down that path to go to BUDS. It's hard to believe. December will be our 30-year anniversary for me for graduating from BUDS training. We're actually planning a 30-year reunion for my classmates, so I'm excited. There's a bunch of those guys I haven't seen since BUDS. Central and South America, conducting counter drug ops and what we call JSETs, where you were training local forces. I learned Spanish. I loved the Latin American culture. I became fluent in Spanish while I was down there. I did 4 deployments and trips down to that area throughout all throughout Central and South America. I got picked up to go to our training department. So different from buds in the SEAL teams. Obviously, buds, we have instructors there, but each SEAL team, now it's on each coast, have their own training cadre, and they train the platoons for war. So it's guys that have done at least a couple of platoons and have experience. And I went into our training cell at SEAL Team 4 back then, and I taught marksmanship and reconnaissance, what we call basic warfare skills. I taught evasion and recovery. I taught communications. So I spent about 2 years doing that. And it was during that time that I got picked up for the officer commissioning program, headed to Old Dominion University, came back as an officer in 2004. Got myself in trouble. That's a big part of my story. There's a lot of people out there who they hear about the gunfight, they hear about the sign on the door. A large part of my story was being a young, immature, ego-driven kid and an immature leader who made poor decisions, and they culminated with a bad decision on a mission in Afghanistan, which thankfully did not cost any lives, but it did cost me my reputation at that time and my credibility. And I had an officer, our commanding officer, believed in me and kind of gave me a second chance, and that allowed me to really grow up. And almost everything I talk about in leadership is based on a lot of those lessons that I learned during that period of having to rebuild myself as a leader. The Afghanistan deployed to Afghanistan. Well, I made those mistakes at the end of that Afghanistan deployment, which happened to be the Operation Red Wings deployment. So obviously have ties to that. And then came back, went to Ranger School as part of my growing up. And much respect for all the guys out there who have been through Ranger School. I showed up to Ranger School with a little bit of an attitude, and it humbled me. Buds is harder than Ranger School, but Ranger School is very difficult. Much respect for everybody that made it through. So much love to the Rangers that are out there and anybody that's wearing a tab. Went to Iraq. We had the most impactful deployment of my career, and I was fortunate enough to be probably with one of the best troops. The camaraderie and the experience level and the way we all gelled together was literally the best troop I was ever a part of. And for many guys, it was probably the deployment of a lifetime. We were hitting targets almost every night. We ended up conducting over 80 direct action, mid-level and high-value target missions. And then obviously I got wounded right at the end of that deployment. We were 1 week from going home. We were going after let me back up. I mean, there are impactful moments. There's a lot in the military who heard the Mike Day story. Mike was a chief at the time. It was a turnover operation between SEAL Team 4 and SEAL Team 10. I came over there with SEAL Team 10. I wasn't on that operation. I actually hadn't even gotten in the country yet. We had our first wave of guys there. And then SEAL Team 4 was going to be exiting. And they were doing a turnover operation that night. They went into Karma, which coincidentally, almost 5 months later is not far, only about 200 yards where I would be wounded. And the guys made entry on a target and walked into just a terrorist beehive. And multiple guys got shot up. One of the Iraqis we were working with was killed. Petty Officer Clark Schwedler was killed that night. And Mike Day was shot and fragged 27 times. The guys thought he was dead, and they pulled back to try and regroup because the gunfire coming out of that building was so intense, and nobody was coming up on the radio anymore. And Mike was unconscious inside, and the terrorists are like high-fiving each other. Mike comes to. He goes to engage with his rifle. His rifle had been shot. He pulled out his pistol and engaged the one terrorist. They realized he was still alive, and they started shooting at him again. Got the bottom of his pistol off, hit him in the thumb. He still managed to do a mag change because all the bullets fell out of his gun when they shot the bottom of the pistol off, and killed the other two. Went to call on the radio, and his radio was dead. Climbed over to Clarkey to check on him, realized Clarkey was dead, and called the guys and said, "Hey, come get me. They're all dead." So pretty legendary story. Mike would end up earning the Navy Cross for what he did that night. And unfortunately, man, the physical wounds are nothing compared to the invisible wounds. We would lose Mike Day to suicide a few years ago. So that's something we can talk about later. But fast forward through that deployment, to the end. And like I said, only about 200 yards where Mike and the guys got in that big gunfight is where we went after the number one leader for Al-Qaeda in the Al-Anbar province, same cell that hit Mike and that killed Clarkey and our Iraqi and wounded our other guy we'd been hunting all deployment. And the initial target we took down, nothing there, but we found a bunch of explosives and IED making equipment and some weapons. And it was about 3 a.m. in the morning at this point. We were going to blow all that in place. Thought it was going to be a quiet night and we were going to be extract off target. And we saw a bunch of activity on another building about 150 yards away. Those of you that have been overseas that were in Iraq during that time, there was a curfew. People weren't out at night. If suddenly you saw people, especially after black helicopters and breaching and all that stuff happens, if you're seeing people move around, 99% of the time they were bad guys. We saw them. Our snipers watched them run across the street into some vegetation to hide. And I took my team and we maneuvered through that vegetation to wrap them up. We had seen that before. And unfortunately, we pushed a gunship overhead. The gunship couldn't see anything. And to make a long story short, we walked directly into a very well executed Al-Qaeda ambush. Our Al-Qaeda leader was in that building. His entire security detail had a ambush line in the vegetation. And we were engaged. We kind of came up behind them. My medic, also a SEAL, stepped on one of the enemy fighters, and the guy tried to roll over. Our medic Luke shot him, and that initiated the ambush. We estimate there were 12 to 14 enemy fighters with 2 PKM machine guns. I was out front at this point with our interpreter. Our medic was initially shot. He took a round right below the knee that almost severed his leg. Matty grabbed on to Luke and started to drag him back. There was this vegetation where the ambush line was. We were now in front of it in the kill zone. And behind us, there was nothing but thousands of yards of just empty Iraqi desert. But there happened to be like one kind of large tractor tire and a tree. And DJ Shipley fell behind the tree. And I was out front at this point. Matty ran forward to grab Luke, started dragging back. I was shot 3 times, twice in the leg and once in the arm, trying to pull Luke back. Still, Matt was a real big guy, stud, and still managed to drag him and Luke back to the tire. I was out front. Our interpreter and my team leader fell back behind the tire. I tried to lay down fire for the guys, and both machine guns got turned on me. I took rounds in my body armor. I took 2 rounds in the left elbow. At the time, I just thought I'd been shot once. I thought my arm had been shot off. I took rounds off my helmet. I had rounds off my gun. I had my left night vision tube shot off. I took rounds off my right side plate. Decided not a good place to be, and turned to try and move back to the guys. And that's when I caught it out from behind that hit me right in front of the ear. traveled through my face, took off my nose, blew out my right cheekbone. What was left of my cheekbone broke and kicked out to the right. It broke the head of my jaw, it shattered my jaw to my chin. It broke all the bones above my eye, and it knocked me out. The guy saw me fall about 15 yards in front of them, and they thought I was dead. And I was probably unconscious, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. When I came to, and while I was unconscious, this gunfight literally was happening directly over me. I was literally pinned down under these machine guns, and our guys are back behind the tire in the tree engaging the enemy. So when I came to, laying flat on my back, kind of noticed the tracer fire, and started to collect my thoughts, trying to think through the cobwebs after getting my bell rung so much, and kind of realized, hey man, you're still in a gunfight. Like, that's tracer fire. Don't fucking sit up. And I realized I was totally pinned. There was nothing I could do. One, I was super messed up. I mean, I knew how badly I was messed up, but I managed to come up on the radio to my team leader, and I said, "Hey man, how long to the medevac?" And he said, "Red, you're still alive?" I was like, "Yeah, how long to the medevac?" And he was like, 5 minutes. It would end up being what we estimate 15 minutes at least before we were able to do that, maybe even 20 minutes. The entire gunfight lasted about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. Very intense. DJ Shipley, who went on to serve at the highest levels of our tier 1 teams, said it was the most intense and violent gunfight he was ever in his entire career. And we ultimately ended up calling a fire mission directly on our position from the gunship. My team leader did, and I remember him calling out to me and saying, "Hey, stand by, incoming." Machine guns still continuing to go off, and suddenly, it's 4 a.m. in the morning. It's super dark, but I heard the gun go off, 40 millimeter, boom, 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 boom. And I remember like standing by. There was obviously a delay, 5 or 6 seconds, I'd say, and then all of a sudden, the world erupted in front of us and over us. And that machine gun went cold. The enemy, I could hear the fighter crying out. He was hit and crying out. Some of the other guns were still going. They brought in a couple more. My team leader ran forward and got me and dragged me back and got a tourniquet on my arm. And then the guys kind of got me behind the tire and packed my face, and continued to call in a few more fire missions. I think we called in 7, which took out the enemy, at least killed the fire. We brought in the medevac at that point, which was about, I don't know, like I said, 45 minutes, 50 minutes around there. And my team leader tried to drag me. It was super painful, and I was like, stop, just help me get up. The helicopter landed maybe 50 yards, 75 yards from us. And he helped me get to my feet. For some reason during the gunfight, I took my helmet off, and I thought my arm had been shot off. So I told him, "Hey man, grab my arm and grab my helmet. I'm going to the bird." And walked to the helicopter, got on. I was one of the first ones they pulled into the helicopter, and they tucked me up against the door gunner, and then they loaded Maddie, and they loaded Luke next to me. And then DJ climbed in to fly with us. We flew to Baghdad. I don't remember. Apparently, I was drifting in and out of consciousness during this time. I do remember later I met the 160th crew that medevaced us, and they told me that that helicopter was only configured for 2 wounded. So we had to fly with the doors off, and obviously we were all pretty critical. And they literally flew the rotors off. So they're flying so fast with the door open, and we were all bleeding so badly inside the helicopter. They said it created this mist. And by the time we landed, like, everybody's covered in blood, the whole inside of the helicopter. They said it took them weeks to clean out the helicopter. But I was too weak when we landed, and they loaded me onto a gurney, and they took me into the operating room. I remember they had to remove all my gear, and I just remember telling myself, stay awake, stay alive, stay awake, stay alive. That was my focus. That's all I focused on. And, they finally got me into the operating room. I remember letting go at that point and, just asking God to help me to go home, thinking about my wife and kids. And that was really, kind of some of my last thoughts without getting into some of the details that I remember. And when I came to, man, I was so elated to still be alive. I really didn't think I was going to make it.
Yeah. So going, through that experience and getting to that point, when it was over, right, you came to grateful that you're there. You just went through one hell of an experience that an average person's not going to live through, right? If we're being honest about it, it takes a lot of will and determination. You're a very, very tough man. What were you starting to think of as you came out of that? Like, what were your first thoughts when you did wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm still here? What was the next on the agenda or the priority, or what was going through your mind?
So when I came to post-surgery, the first thing I remember, my commanding officer and master chief were there. So I was in Baghdad. They had come to Baghdad. The guys weren't there yet because aside from DJ, when I came out of surgery, I don't remember seeing DJ. He probably was with Luke or Maddie. But I woke up and I remember trying to talk, and I couldn't talk. And the nurse came up and said, "Hey, Lieutenant, you're wired shut and you're trached. You're not going to be able to speak." So I said, "Okay," I motioned, "Give me a pen." And my CO and Mass Chief came up at that point, and I remember I wrote to them. I said, "Hey, are the guys okay?" That was my first question, and they said, "Yeah, Luke and Maddie are okay. They're out of surgery." I said, I wrote, "Has my wife been notified?" And my CO said, "Yeah." And there's kind of a story in itself with that, but he said, "Yeah, I've talked to her. She's aware. She's going to meet you at Bethesda in several days when you get there." And I said, "Okay." And then I don't know why, man. Levity, you guys know dark humor is a big thing. And then my next question was, "Do I still look pretty?" And oh man, this will be an improvement. So those are kind of the first things, and there was levity, and I'll be honest, some euphoria at just being alive. I was so thankful to still be alive. I was also high as a kite, on all these drugs. But I will admit, over the next several days, reality started to set in. I was super messed up. They were starting to tell me how bad my injuries were. I had no use of my left arm at all. And by the time I would get to Bethesda 4 days later, the initial recommendation was to amputate my arm above the elbow. My elbow had been totally destroyed, nerve damage, no functioning of my left hand, and just lots of bad news. Nose totally destroyed. I would need a total nose reconstruction. My cheekbone was gone, which affected the structural integrity of my skull. So I needed bone to go back into my face. My eyeball was sinking down into this hole from my orbital floor being gone. They initially, I think, put a titanium floor down there to try and hold it in place. Wired shut, trached, feed me through a stomach tube. I think in the first 96 hours, I think I needed 8 blood transfusions between my injuries and between blood loss during the initial surgeries to save and stabilize me. So yeah, reality started to set in over the medevac flight home. Like, what does the future look for me? And that was hard. I won't lie, because it was like this initial euphoria, like, oh my God, I made it. But then there was the next phase of, what does the future look like?
Yeah. So at this point, when you went through that, how many? Because you wound up retiring. How many years did you have in at that point?
I had 15 years. So
Yeah.
I'll be
So
honest. Yeah, we fast forward a little. They saved my arm, and that's a credit to the head of orthopedics at Bethesda at the time I was there. Happened to be an ex-SEAL, so his whole team recommended to amputate my arm, and he's the only reason I still have an arm. He said, "No, I'm going to save his arm." Dan Blake, if you're out there, much love. I have an arm because of you.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah, man. And I mean, pretty good function. I mean, I still have a little bit of nerve damage, but man.
Learning how to, it would suck to have to, are you left-handed or right-handed? Because it would suck to have to learn how to masturbate and do it with your other hand. Yeah. Okay, you were good. Just want to make sure, because if I lost my right arm, I'd be screwed.
I know, man. I have so much respect. Like Adam Brown, when Adam Brown was injured, it crushed his right hand, and he had to relearn how to shoot with his left. And went through our tier 1 training like that. So Adam was a badass, man. But yeah, they saved me. They fixed me. I actually thought I could get back operational. That was kind of my goal. Unfortunately, this is the most I can bend my arm, and that's the most I can extend. And I traveled the country trying to find doctors who could give me more movement. Initially, I had none. So we went from amputate his arm, save his arm. My arm was totally just locked in place. It was fused like this, and that was what they. They told me that was the best I was ever going to get. And then they sent me to Johns Hopkins. There was a hand and arm guy there who really rebuilt me an elbow. They wrote some medical journal articles about what he did, some pretty innovative and groundbreaking stuff. And he gave me, this much motion, which is a lot when you go from not having anything. And I was convinced I would get back operational. And I spent I was working out, I was trying. And finally, I went to a very highly respected doctor at Duke University down outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. And he told me, he's like, look, man, you have a miraculous recovery. Like, we don't even understand how your elbow works the way it does. And you are, for all things considered, relatively pain-free. Don't get me wrong, my elbow hurts plenty of times. But what he was saying is that I'm able to use it and do a lot. And he said, the chances of us having a negative outcome trying to get you more movement are astronomical. And he really talked me out of it. But that was kind of sad. I left there. I'll never forget, man. I was by myself. I went down to that appointment by myself, and I left that appointment. The sun was setting. And I remember like, okay, I guess this is it. My operational career is over. So that was 2007. So that was probably 2010. So I was at the 18-year mark. And but I came into the military to do 20 years. So I told the SEAL teams, I said, hey, look, I can't be operational, but I want to continue to serve. I was screening to go over to our Tier 1 command in 2009. They brought me over there anyway, so I was already working over there, and I just said, hey, I'd like to stay here. I'd like to work. I ended up working operations, special projects, and different things until I got up to close to 20 years, and then I decided the SEAL career path for officers is operationally based. We don't have a staff officer route. So what I realized was I could make 04. I would never make 05 because that's based on operational billets. And, I finally came to the realization like, hey, man, maybe I need to start exploring life after the military. So started the medical retirement process. That took almost 2 years, and I retired with right at 21 years in August of 2013.
So what was as you go through the process and you get back and you have the surgeries and you go through your recovery period, I'm curious, your whole goal was to get back operational during that time. So here, this comes into that never quit. I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to get there. Right. What was the atmosphere around you? Like, were people telling you you're going to get there? Were people trying to tell you what you didn't want to hear, and that's why you went off to find the doctors? What was like your tribe around you telling you during this period when you were saying, I'm going to come back?
No, the SEAL teams were very supportive, and believe it or not, my wife was supportive, although she confides later that she prayed that I would not be operational again. She has told me, she was like, if you had gone back operational, she was like, I would have lived on wine and Xanax. But you know what? And a tribute to her, what an amazing woman she is. She never deterred me. She never said, why are you doing this? You know, I think she knew this was part of my journey, and I needed to follow it to the end. And she did, man. I have so much respect for my wife and the support she provided me through all of that. You know, she was just a rock star. So that was kind of the beginning of the end, and sometime I think in September of 2013, I retired from the military.
And so coming out of the military and going into that transition period, you know, coming out from what you did and trying to come back, when you were getting out, what was your thought process of what you were going to do next, right? Because obviously, you know, we all listen to a lot of podcasts and hear things that, you know, our tier 1 operators get out and they have like some of those things that they're going to do after that kind of continues on a little bit, right? What were you looking to do after that period where you were like, okay, I know the operational part's not going to be there, but what was your mindset of what were you trying to do when you got out initially?
Yeah. First off, I wasn't a tier 1 operator. I went over to that command, but I never went through the training. I never served on an operational team. It didn't happen. I was never able to go through the training because of my injuries. So clarify that right there. It was an honor to serve at that command, but I never did it in an operational capacity. While I was recovering, like many of us, when you get wounded, you end up going through this pipeline of having needs and, you know, trying to figure things out. One of the needs I had was I needed modified clothing. I ended up I had an external fixator. It was almost 2 years of having all this apparatus on my body to help me get put back together, from being trached to having a stomach tube for 6 months or so. And I needed modified clothing, and that kind of led to the creation of our nonprofit Wounded Wear, where we were providing modified clothing and, you know, creating these slogans, scarred so that others may live free. I got tired of people looking at me. You know, I had super fucked up face, obviously, and that attracted a lot of attention in a negative way that used to frustrate me. So I made a T-shirt that said, hey, stop staring. I got shot in the face by a machine gun. It would have killed you. And I put on the back. And, you know, I had another one made that said, hey, scarred for your freedom, just say thank you. So they were just kind of tongue in cheek and fun. And that evolved into Wounded Wear, our organization. And that turned into events and, you know, bringing wounded warriors and ultimately later Gold Star family members together. So when I retired, I was already doing that. And I just kind of transitioned out of the military and was doing that. That was kind of my focus. Speaking was starting to happen also. Because of the sign on the door, I had a lot of notoriety while I was still in the military. The sign on the door happened while I was in the hospital in 2007. So what was happening is I was being invited to other units to talk about it, to talk about the mindset and resilience and talk about the gunfight and all these different things. And speaking of military units, that translated into going to speak at military nonprofit events, which at military nonprofit events, there's corporate sponsors. And that turned into me starting to speak. I kind of learned like, hey, man, you have a great story. You're a good storyteller. People like that. Also, one of the other things that happened was my book was coming out in after I got out of the military. And that I never intended to write a book. The Trident is the first one. And, but what happened is 40 surgeries I went through, for the first year, I couldn't communicate. I couldn't talk. I was trained. So I had to write about, all the gunfights. And I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I started writing about other things that happened in Iraq it became like something I did when I was recovering. I would and later it ended up being typing. But I ended up, I had almost 200 pages of my story. I started writing about Afghanistan and the mistakes I made and lessons I was learning as a leader. And that turned into this book. And it was kind of funny. Like I said, I was stationed at our Tier 1 command. And it was about that time that No Easy Day came out. And the community was not happy about that. And people were like, well, Redman's writing a book. And I went to our Master Chief, who was our same Master Chief in Iraq with me. And I said, hey, Mags, yes, I am. It never intended to be a book, but this is what it's become. Would you be willing to read it, man? I have so much respect for you. Would you be willing to read it? Let me know your thoughts. And he read it and he said, hey, man, Red, this is really good. It's very humble. It's your story. It's not, exploiting the community. Let's give it to our commanding officer. Let him read it and let's decide. And commanding officer liked it. He said, let's send it up to Warcom. And I got permission basically to write the Trident. And I worked with our special security officer to make sure I wasn't talking about anything that we shouldn't be talking about, and got the approval of Warcom. So all that kind of happened in conjunction as I was getting out of the military, and that kind of led to me starting to speak. So I was doing the nonprofit, and I was slowly starting to speak. I think everybody thinks, I sure did. I thought I was going to get out and I was going to be killing it and speaking. And in my first year, 2014, I might have done 5 events. And just slowly, every year they grew and grew and grew until, by 2019, I really exploded as a very successful speaker.
And so going through that process to get onto the speaking circuit, what was the biggest challenge you faced in being able to go speak and tell the story that you have? Because obviously you said you went to the events and they saw you and people would come up to you there and talk to you. But what did you find the most challenging to make your way into that arena to be able to be as successful as you are today?
There's a lot of competition. You got to treat it like a business. You learn a lot of lessons. At the end of the day, I thought I would get picked up by a speaking bureau, and I didn't in the beginning. I couldn't get any of them to pick me up. They were like, oh, we already have a SEAL. We don't need another one. So I created my own. That's why we created Soft Spoken, our speaking company, because I just said, well, screw it. Okay, if I can't get a speaking bureau, then we're going to figure this out on our own. And it was hard. I'll be honest. There was a period of time where I wasn't booking any events. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to have to go get a job, because I was making very little money from the nonprofit. I never wanted anybody to say I was making money off the nonprofit. That was not my goal. We took a tiny salary. My goal was to, live off my retirement pay and a little bit of speaking. But as I got out there, and you come to learn how to leverage the internet, and I really focused on trying to figure out how to deliver a great message and make it relatable. And that grew over the years, really coming to understand the craft of speaking and how you market and how you engage and connect with the audience and how you make it relatable. And I call it story with a purpose. So all these things really grew over time to build a really successful company. I mean, at this point, I have done, I think, 720 paid speaking engagements. I've taught other people how to speak, how to build a speaking business. And for me, it's helped enable me to get out there and deliver this very powerful message to not only veterans, which I love to do, but also to the civilian population, which now has allowed me to get into the entrepreneur space. So
I am curious if So you started on the journey to speaking in 2019, around there, right? Or a little bit
Well,
after?
I started speaking in 2014, but
Okay.
like every year it would double. So in 2014, I might have done 10 events. 2015, it might have been 20. 2016, I think we jumped to 40, and then it just continued to grow from there. And obviously COVID. So I think in 2018, I really blew up. I think I did 80 events. 2019, it was close to 100. And then, of course, COVID happened. I think I had already done like 30 events by March when they shut down the world. And overnight, everything went away.
Yeah.
Every speaking engagement I had went away. And I'm fortunate, I'm blessed and thankful for my retirement income and my disability and my wife and I didn't really live outside our means because that saved us from losing our house or anything, because literally overnight, every penny we had was gone. All the income that I had brought in from speaking was gone. And it taught me a valuable lesson. The COVID year taught me a lot. And really is what launched me into entrepreneurship, and this is a message for all you veterans out there, man. Who better than us to achieve and go after the American dream, whatever yours is? I mean, maybe speaking or anything like that isn't it, but understanding how to identify a goal in business and then set those goals so you can accomplish those dreams, and then figure out how you accomplish that process. And in my opinion, diversifying your income streams is a powerful part of that, because it protects you against the uncertainty that exists in the civilian world. You could lose your job, whatever can happen. And that really started to become my mindset. How do I diversify myself to protect me and my family?
LT, I got to fix my credit score first. You know what I'm saying? I can't just be out here diversifying yet. I can't even spell that yet. Get my credit.
But that's goal number one. Like, fix your credit score. It's you can totally do that shit. It's not it's not as hard. You just got to be proactive and have a plan.
Yeah. So
it's funny.
Go ahead.
Involved. The new company I'm with is TurboVets. We're founded a new company that we're going to revolutionize how we take care of service member and veterans. And one of the things that we want to do is, on the active duty side, is to have a financial literacy module built right into this thing. Because, I mean, you nailed it. I was an idiot with money until I was well into my 30s. I mean, it was the time I was, the last several years of my career that I started to get smart with money on the active duty side. I wasted so much money as a young, dumb, enlisted kid. I knew nothing about credit scores. I didn't care. I lived for the moment. So we want to educate our service members to understand financial literacy, to understand their credit score, to understand about investing, so that they are more successful. Whether you do 4 years or 24 years, we want to set you up for success. A lot of different things that we're focused on there, but yeah, man.
That's amazing, because if you think, I think everybody on here that's been a young enlisted idiot. I mean, fuck, buying cars at 30% interest rate and buying Jordans from the exchange. I mean, it's crazy what we do.
I thought I was fucking Maverick, man. I showed up in Virginia Beach, October 1993, and I bought a motorcycle. Never rode a motorcycle in my life, and they let me ride off that lot. That should be a crime. You let an 18-year-old sailor ride off the lot on a 600cc motorcycle. He's never ridden a motorcycle in his life, with a 35% interest rate.
Hey, we finance everybody. Hey. Everybody gets financed, right? That's crazy.
Sunrise Auto, we finance anyone.
Tattoos, new cars,
hookers
and lady boys. I mean, that's how we rolled in the Navy. Maybe it was just me, but I'm just saying.
Maybe it was just you.
Maybe it was just me.
That's you Navy boys. This Army stayed away from the Thailand.
No, the Army had plenty of freaking go off base and buy 800% cars. I promise. Yeah. They knew that there was a guaranteed paycheck, and we were too scared to tell our our enlisted leaders, our chief or our first sergeant, that we went and fucked up and got a payday loan, and they knew they could scare us into paying more money to pay it off because we didn't nobody to know. That's how they get those sailors and Marines and everybody. It's because they know you're afraid of getting in trouble because you just wanted to, like Al said, I got to go get these tattoos and just get a loan, right? And they were like, shit, right? You know, they just, you don't know what to do next. But that's a great, I was just going to say that the model you're building is a good point, because we talk about a lot on this show. You know, the military teaches us really good how to do our job, you know, be operational, finish the mission, do the things that you need to be a good soldier, sailor, Marine, airman. But when it comes time to go, they're like, appreciate it. And they give you some tools, but things like that. If you're getting out, you know, the only time you ever had to go do a budget in the Navy is when you like didn't pay your bills and they actually called the command. That's when they would go tell you to go learn how to do your finances, right? When you got in trouble. But teaching stuff like that or setting people up for courses like that, getting out, is huge, because you got to teach people, you know, when you get out, like you said, COVID hit. Thank goodness you got retirement. But what about those people that do 6 years and get out and they don't have that? What are you going to do when you get out? And that used to be questions, you know, as chiefs, we would ask those young sailors, I'm getting out of the Navy. You're like, okay, but like, what are you going to do? And they're like, oh, I'm just going to get a job. Like, okay, but did you save any money? And they're just like, no, it's good. And then you wind up hearing in some cases, like back in those times, you know, 2007 to 2012, right? You weren't going back into the Navy recruiter office and coming back in. Like, they weren't taking you. Like, you might be able to go into the reserves, but you weren't going back active duty. It just completely changed. And it's good that you guys are doing that, because it's a huge skill set that people need, because everything's online banking now. I don't need to balance nothing. I'm just like, I looked at my phone. I got money. We're good. You know?
Yeah. And there's so many aspects of this. I mean, we're revolutionizing how we take care of our active duty service members. And like you guys said, to set them up for some success when they transition, we should be looking at a minimum a year out. If a young service member is thinking about getting out of the military, providing them a customized transition model. We met with Secretary Hegseth yesterday. He loved it. He said, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And they're excited to see us implement this. You know, I'm not allowed to talk too much about it before we launch, but there's some big things coming. We're going to revolutionize and take care of our service members. I believe, once again, you know, here's the funny thing, man. As a military service member, our founding fathers, the American dream is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what so many people don't realize in this country is when you sign on that dotted line and say, I'm going to become an American service member, I'm going to join the military, you forfeit all of those things in some capacity. When you sign that dotted line, your life now belongs to the military. They send us to war. They put us through dangerous training. I mean, you know, 30 friends of mine tattooed on the inside of my arm who I personally knew who did not come home. Their military service cost them their life. Liberty, our freedom. You're not free when you're in the military, man. They tell you where to go. They tell you when to be there. They tell you, hey, you're going to Afghanistan. You're going to Iraq. Get on that ship. You're going to Somalia. You give up your freedom. Your family gives up their freedom. They're tasked to go to wherever you're going. You know, if you got a strong knit family, you give up your earning potential. You know, for those years, you're not out in the work phase. Most people in the civilian world, as they level up, their earning potential increases. As a military member, we gain experience, but oftentimes getting out of the military, you're kind of starting at ground zero to figure out how you navigate and translate your military career. And then the last thing, of course, is that pursuit of happiness. I mean, that is the American dream. So many of our military members, in my opinion, aren't doing that because either A, they didn't have a good transition and they weren't given the tools, or they don't understand the tools they have to execute that, or B, they buy into the bullshit that they're this broken veteran, or, hey, the American dream's for other people. I fought for it for other people, but that's not me. You know, I'm just destined to live in this place in my life. And that's bullshit. Who better than us to achieve the American dream? And TurboVets is designed to ensure every veteran gets every benefit they've earned. I can't guarantee it is the pursuit of happiness. We can give you the tools, but it's on you to execute and figure out and design that plan. But in my opinion, and these are the things that I speak on, the military gave you the tools. I teach 4 things that the military gave every service member, but so many get out of the military and they stop using these things, these fundamental things you learn in the military. Number 1, lead yourself. You were taught in the military how to lead yourself, how to show up in a uniform. You were given a task, you would execute that task, you were part of a mission, and you had to lead yourself. The difference is when you get out of the military, you don't have a sergeant or a senior chief telling you what to do. It's you. You have to lead yourself. You have to be the one that instills the discipline, but they taught you how to do that. They taught you how to have an overcome mindset. It's hard when you get into the civilian world. There's challenges and problems and COVID and all this other bullshit. Well, guess what? Get up, drive forward, get off that X, stop feeling sorry for yourself, get a plan going, rinse and repeat. Number 3 is mission. The military taught us a mission. You were part of a unit, you had this amazing camaraderie, and a mission equals purpose. Well, define a new mission in the civilian world. My mission became that sign on the door. After I got out of the military, it is what guided me, it is what kept me. The times that I started to feel sorry for myself as I was navigating surgeries or bad things happen, I would remind myself, that's who you are, bro. That's you. That sign on the door right there. So for all of you out there, you need to write your own sign on the door. Like, this is who I am. I'm going to be this amazing dad. I'm going to be this amazing mom. I'm going to be this amazing leader, brother, teammate, friend. I don't care what it is, but write it down, have a plan. That's your new mission in the civilian world. That's your sign on the door. Because I tell you what, in life, we have short-term memory loss when things start to get hard. We forget who we are because we're so focused on the pain and the discomfort, and we get the victim mindset because we're like, this isn't fair. My life isn't going in the direction that I want it to. Okay, change it. Remember who you are. And then the last one, you got to live greatly. And living greatly is really a principle that came about because I came so close to death. I have this tremendous appreciation for life. And so many people will say to me, Jay, how have you done everything you've done? 4 books, and I'm involved in 5 businesses and speaking, and I'm on boards and all these different things. It's because, guys, I recognize at any moment I can check out. Guess what? The only guarantee in this life is death. Every one of us are going to check out. And so many people act like they have all the time in the world. So they procrastinate. They don't go after their hopes and dreams. And they just, well, I'll get to that tomorrow or next week or next year. The problem with that mindset is next week and next year turn into 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. And the next thing you know, you live your life and you gave up on your hopes and dreams because you weren't even living it. You were already dead. And the second component of living greatly is I meet a lot of military veterans who they have survivor's guilt, or they feel guilty because, hey, I'm still here and my buddy's not. That's crazy to me. Like, your teammates, these guys on my arm, would give anything to still be here and to see their families and to be dealing with whatever problems you're dealing with. Anything. Their families would give anything. So the way we honor them is trying to be the best version of ourselves, to live greatly, to crush it, so that hopefully those guys up there in Valhalla are looking down at me and like, you know what, man, I didn't get to come home and Jason Redman did, but holy shit, man, that guy's getting after it, man. He's honoring the brotherhood. He's honoring our veterans. He's trying to be the best version of himself. Like, good on it. That's how you live greatly. Those are the 4 principles. The military taught you those things. But there's so many veterans out there that's just race to be broken. Like, okay, we're all broken. I struggle with all kinds of demons, man. I struggle with PTSD. I drank myself to the bottom of a bottle in 2010. Thankfully, my wife called me out finally, and I got help. And those demons, I'll always have them. The trauma never goes away. That's like the misnomer that people think. Veterans think, well, I need to get fixed. No, you're never going to get fixed, man. We're all broken. It's just a choice to drive forward through it and overcome it. You learn to live with it. You don't just fix it. Yeah. And I'm just tired of seeing it, man. I want every veteran out there to be successful. You know, Trump talks about make America great again. You know what's going to make America great again is if every veteran out there got out there and was achieving his American dream, and they were leading their family, they were leading their community, they were leading and crushing it. Think about the exponential impact that would have. 18 million veterans firing up the communities across this country.
That's how it should be. 100%. 100%. Because I tell you what, we know how to make shit happen when we're in, but when you get out, it amazes me that you no longer want to find the reason you can do it instead of trying to find all the reasons you can't, you know? Like it's amazing that how the mindset shifts. And don't get me wrong, you're in one day and then you're out the next day, and you know, you're no longer walking down the passageway and everybody's good morning, good morning, good morning, and talking to you. And, you know, I'm comfortable here and now I'm uncomfortable again. And you made a super impactful point when you were like, you got to start over. Stop thinking you're going to get out and make $1 million. It's not going to happen, dude. All these people that, like, you made a good point, they've leveled up. You haven't leveled there yet.
That's right. There could be a path for you to earn $1 million, but it ain't going to happen overnight, man. You grind, you get off that X, you're going to get knocked down, get back up, come up with a new plan.
Yep. You got to keep hearing no, just like you did when you first started your career, right? You heard no, people said don't do this, and people said you couldn't do these things. And when you hear that, you move forward, right? And that's the veteran spirit, right? Like, we don't give up, but like too often once we get on the other side, we give up. And it is sad. I don't like seeing it, you know. And
well, there's this narrative out there, you know, the broken veteran. And parts of America are feeding, and individuals in the veteran community are feeding. We need to break that narrative. You're not broken. Yes, we're damaged. We've been through some trauma, you know, many of us, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All kinds of people go through trauma. You don't have to be in the military to go through trauma. Firefighters, paramedics, people that have been involved in violent encounters. Maybe they were mentally or emotionally or verbally abused when they were a kid. And guess what? Tens of millions of them are ridiculously successful, not because they were fixed, because, you know, trauma is always going to be inside us. It's because they learn to live with it and they learn to overcome it. Mm-hmm. And you have the skills. You're a veteran, man. You went through boot camp. They taught you, like, hey, when shit sucks, you get up and you drive forward. And you look at the people around you and you be like, hey, man, guess what? We're going to get up and drive forward. Get off your ass. Let's go.
Yeah. Or you laugh about it and you make the joke.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Back in the CB days, when it's raining and we're training, they didn't give a fuck. It was like everybody embraces the same suck. We all embrace the same shit, and it makes it better. It makes it better.
Yeah. So I do know
you have to do it for yourself. No one's going to do it for you. That's right.
Yep. And I do know. I was just going to say, I know a lot of what you're talking about now is a mindset shift, right? That you have to get through, and you have to have a good mindset in order to get through things and know that you're going to be okay and come out on the other end. And I know that also you talk a lot about like your journey through a lot of this stuff, right? There's a lot of failures that get you to a lot of successes. And, you know, for anybody that's going through that kind of thing, like what are the things that you think you focus on for everything that you've learned and seen and done, from the failures to trying to come back to making more mistakes and fixing them again? What are the things that people can focus on that makes it the easiest? What is like the easiest step to take? What would be your advice for people that are looking to get that way out or find their way out of that barrel or get to that next level?
So the overcome mindset, that component that I teach is two parts. Number one, the overcome mindset is this idea that, guess what? You're going to hit adversity. It's going to be hard. You know, think about back in the military. How did we train? Every unit, we trained for the worst case scenario. Whatever you were doing, if you were an infantryman, you know, if you were assigned to a ship, you train for, well, what happens if the ship catches on fire? What happens if we're hit? What happens if we're caught in a massive storm? What happens if we hit a torpedo? And we do all these emergency drills based on awareness that bad things can happen. It dumbfounds me how many military members get out of the military and that goes out of their mind. They don't apply it to their own life. You know, awareness that bad things can happen, that you may not get that job. You may have that job and you may get fired. You may get sick. You may get injured. Your kids or your spouse could get sick or injured. Welcome to reality. And you need to have an awareness of that, because that's the mind, that's part of the overcome mindset. Bad things are going to happen to good people. And it dumbfounds me when I meet people that are like, I can't believe this happened to me. Why? Why do you think you're so special? 8 billion people on the planet. Shit happens to them every day. You know, they get diagnosed with cancer, they have terrible injuries, they lose their jobs, the market crashes, COVID happens. Stop living in a false reality. Drive forward and be aware and project and think about it. Perfect example. Those of you out there that have teenage kids, my kids are older now. I went through all 3 of them learning to drive. Every single day in this country, young teenage new drivers die because they did something stupid behind the wheel. So when my kids would go out driving back in the beginning, like, that's terrifying for a parent. I was aware. Overcome mindset. Step number 1, awareness. Number 2 is preparation. This, back in the military, we were aware, you know, all those things we talked about. Well, preparation is training. In the civilian world, you can train. There are things that we can do. For my kids, I obviously taught them to drive. I tried to convince them that, hey, you know, you got to be smart. You got to have situational awareness. You know, never drink and drive. I don't care if you're at a party. I will come get you. No questions asked. I mean, whatever it was, I prepared them. And then I mentally prepared myself, because guess what? I can't control everything. My kids are going to make bad decisions. Somebody else could make a bad decision. And I was afraid, but I knew, you know, fear's not going to stop me. I knew if this thing went off late at night, it could be the call that said, hey, you know, the kid was in a terrible accident, or the police officer at my door. So that led to step 3. So awareness, preparation, and step 3 is action. Preparation is whether it's mentally preparing yourself. I mentally prepared myself. God forbid if I lost a kid. I can't even imagine. It's one of the biggest life ambushes I've seen for those who have lost a child. But guess what? I'm the leader. I'm the leader of my family. I needed to be ready, to be positive. I needed to guide my spouse and my kids through this. God forbid it happened. So I had the ability to take action. Step 2, if I lost a child, that's probably one of the biggest life ambushes I've seen. When super bad things happen, you lose a job, you get sick, you know, lawsuit, I don't know, injury, illness, whatever it is. I call those life ambushes. And guess what? No different than a real world ambush. You find yourself on the X. And no different in a gunfight. You know, those of you out there who have never been in a gunfight may say, well, I can't relate to the bullets and bombs of battle, but that's okay. Because guess what? In a life ambush, you're dealing with the bullets and bombs of life. And every human, man, who's at least over 15 has experienced the bullets and bombs of life. You know, you've been shot down by rejection and failure. You've been blown up by injury, illness, or loss. You've walked through the minefields of depression and despair. We've all felt it. And you lay on that X in those initial moments, overwhelmed and like, what the fuck happened? And you just want to crawl in a hole. Just please stop shooting at me, and please stop the explosions. Except now they're the explosions of life. So awareness, preparation, action, and then you have to get off the X. No different than a gunfight. That is a mindset. That is a culture that you have to create within yourself and your family. But guess what? Bad things are going to happen. I can't lay on this X forever. No different than in combat. You'll bleed out and die. The difference in the civilian world, you'll bleed out mentally and emotionally if you don't take action and start driving forward. Or what I watch tons of people do is they bleed out financially because they're unwilling to get up. They lay there.
Well, they're unwilling to ask for help too. I feel like a lot of veterans, and we talk about it all on this show, ask for help. If you need help or you're struggling, it's one foot in front of the other. The expectation isn't that you're going to tackle every life challenges like all at once. Like you gotta be like to your point, Jason, getting off that XLT. It's the bullets and bombs were the easy part. That was the easy stuff in combat. It was coming home and carrying that baggage with you and trying to figure out how to navigate those waters once you're home in an environment where, you know, like you said, people look at you crazy. You have there's this expectation that, hey, you're from your family, you're home now, you should be good to go. You're back home. You're safe. You're good. And it's not always the case, but you've got to put one foot in front of the other essentially, and know that you can't tackle everything all at once. You've got to take it in small chunks sometimes, but the motion creates emotion. You've got to get to moving around. You've got to get to doing something. You cannot just sit on your fucking ass and complain about everything under the sun. You've got to take some steps. So I think you're absolutely spot on. And like I said, we talk about it a lot on this show. You've got to do something. You can't just sit still and sit idle and just say, woe is fucking me. Like, woe is fucking everybody, bro. Get the fuck up and get to moving. So I 100% agree.
That's right. And you nailed it, Albert. And I did it. I'm guilty. When I was
all of us do.
I pushed everybody away. I tried to fix it myself. I didn't want to admit I was the overcome guy. I'm the guy with the sign on the door. Like, I didn't want to admit to people that I was struggling. But you know, something I came to realize, and my wife thankfully convinced me to go get help. And I started thinking about it later after the fact. I was like, you know, how dumb was that? My entire career, I was taught to always have someone with me. In boot camp, you had someone with you. When I went to SEAL training, I always had a swim buddy. You couldn't be more than 6 feet from your swim buddy. I went to Ranger school. I had a Ranger buddy. In every SEAL platoon, we always operated in a shooting pair. You know, we never did one-man room entries. We always trained to do a minimum of a 2-man room entry. Why? Because one man will always is always going to be exposed. You cannot enter a room as a single person without exposing yourself to a threat. It's a crapshoot, and you pick to go right or left, and you just hope. You can pie as much as you want. There's always going to be corners that you can't cover as a one man. So I don't understand why now, and I'm, like I said, I'm guilty. We want to do it on our own. So I try to convince guys, use the tools the military taught you. It's okay to ask for help, you know? And we called for help on the battlefield. You know, hey man, I need cover fire. Hey man, I need backup. Hey, I need reinforcements. You know, you just need to do it with this too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's those prideful moments, though, I think for a lot of guys that gets in the way, like, again, like you just said, I was the sign on the door guy. If I'm going to go tell everybody that I need help, then like, what are they going to think of me now? And that's the part where you go, I can't do it. I don't want nobody to think any different of me. And, I think we're slowly getting to the point where people are being willing to open up and ask for help now. There's so much stuff that happens that, you can't keep up with half the stuff that happens in a day, but that was the thing. When we were in, you knew you had that person watching your six, or the people that had your back, or the people that were there with you. You knew no matter what, when you turned, they were going to be there. And I think that's what might also get in the way of some veterans, right? Because that guy that was always there for you when you were in, you guys are now in two different places. It's okay to call them. They still are there for you, even if they're not there. Right. And so I think, just like you said, like, we got to approach this the way that the military taught us. What is the tactfully advantage way to do this? Like, what's going to give me the best advantage going in? And then what are the things that I need to be careful of? And you always had an immediate action plan for, this is going to go wrong. We're going to do this. We're going to go here. We're going to do that. Man, and again, guilty. I'm only going to go this way because that's going to work. I know it's going to work. There's no way this isn't going to work. It's going to be great. And it doesn't. And then you're like, now I got to go tuck tail and tell everybody it didn't work. Well, and everything you just said was so great. Is like, we always plan for the shit to go bad. Like, that's it. There's no other outcome. Like, it's going bad. What are we going to do? And we're like, we're really good at handling bad shit. And then we get out and it's like your rent's due and like your world's clumbering now. You know what I mean? Like, just go cut some grass or something, right?
Ty knows this too. Even when you're training to go down range, I remember going through NPR and training to be in, and being like, you're going through the door. whatever, look to see which way he falls. That's where the rhymes are coming from. You're like, wait a minute, well, I don't want to fall that way. Like, hold the fuck on, like slow down. Or they're teaching you to drag people out of Humvees, and hey, make sure he can get out of the Humvee. We had a lieutenant that was 7 feet tall. He couldn't go with us because we couldn't get his big ass out the Humvee if something happened. So you're always planning for the worst case scenario, and then you get out and you stop. You're like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, I live my life that way. Everything I have could be gone tomorrow, and I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Because I know stuff doesn't matter, man. My family's what matters. And if I live my life where I once coached a guy, he lived his life in such fear of losing the financial wealth he built that it was crippling to him. And I was like, what a shit way to live your life. I mean, financial success is great as long as you can accept it could be gone tomorrow. So what?
Yeah, but I think a lot of veterans feel like that financial success when they get out, like you hit the nail on the head, and something that we like to talk about a lot here, that whole mindset of, when we're teaching us these things. We went to join the Navy and they told you when you joined, like, you're going to do all these jobs in civilian world when you get out. And that means, oh shit, man, those people make a lot of money. But we don't get taught that you're going to be going up against an excavator operator who's been doing this for 30 years. And that guy could probably take a nap and work that thing faster than you ever will. You're behind. You're just behind. You got to go find what you're good at. And you're going to have to start over and move back up the ladder. And it's that pride for us sometimes going, I did all this stuff for my country. It should just be given to me. That's the piece that I don't like to see, is where you feel like it's owed to you. Now you got to go earn it again. Like, that's what you're taught to do. And it's amazing how that's not the mindset.
You may have to earn it multiple times, man.
Yeah.
But you know how to do it. You've done it. We all had to do it in the military. Yeah. You stepped into a new leadership position. You went from E4 to E5, and suddenly you were thrust into this new leadership position. And guess what? You had to earn it. It's no different in this life, man. So,
LT, LT is about to get hot for you in here for a minute, but before we jump into some of this heat, I know we've talked a little bit about your family. So I just had just a personal question. So how long have you been married?
24 years.
Congratulations. And I heard you had teenagers. I've got teenagers myself, so I feel your pain. Any of them have aspirations of joining the military? Or is your wife like?
They're actually young adults now, man. My kids are no teenager. I got young adults. So
nice.
No, my son, he's the oldest. He wasn't able to. He had a small hole in his heart that would have stopped him from the only thing would have stopped him from. He played sports and he's killing it out and he's doing great things. My older daughter is married, which is crazy. So I have a son-in-law that's in the fire academy. He's killing it. And my youngest is still in college.
I would not want to be your fucking son-in-law. That'd be terrible. Like, that would be horrible. Like, I said, bring her home by 10:30. Like, I'll have her home by 9. Like, you're playing around.
So, true story. When my daughter, we went and played golf together, and my daughter said he wanted to ask me if we could marry her. So we go play golf, and we're on the 16th hole. And there's a guy playing by himself that comes up behind us. He's kind of playing faster. And we're like, well, why don't we let him play through? So we walk next to the green. It's a par 3. And he and I are standing there. And this guy hits this ball. And I lose it in the sun, both of us. We're looking up at the sun. I'm thinking it's going to come down and land on the green. Ball hits me right in the chest. And I'm like, fuck, that fucking hurt. But I'm like, I'm not going to show him anything, man. Like, I've got to. I'll be honest. I was kind of like, fuck, man. Like, it hurt. Like, it hurts to get hit by. Not a gunshot wound hurt, but it hurt. So I think he's like freaked out, and we go to the next hole. We're 17. We get on 18. Kept playing, and I'm like, you better hurry up. We're about to be done. So it was pretty funny. That was the first time, we really hung out. I get hit with this golf ball, and I'm like, I can't show him that hurt.
No, you could have lost your whole nipple. You ain't showing it. We're not showing that.
That golf ball could have gone through me, and I would have been like, I'm fine.
No, Ty's got some daughters.
Yeah, extra breathing hole.
Yeah, Ty's got daughters, and I've got one. So all my kids are older. They're pretty much grown. For all my kids are pretty much grown. But my daughter's 10, and it terrifies me because I'm like, I got to stay in the gym. I better make sure all my guns are always clean because I'm like, I can't have some young whippersnapper walk up in here and punk me. You be punking my ass. You can't be punking me in my own house, my own dojo.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. No, I mean, he's a great guy, and I think he'll make a great firefighter. When they got married, I gave him a gun, and I said, "Here you go." I said it was my job her whole life to protect her. Now it's your job.
Hoorah!
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right, Ty. So you got the stage there, Ty. What you got, bro?
All right, let's do the hot seat. All right, sir. I didn't really get to talk to you before the show, so I'm Ty. I'm the one that's been communicating with you, and I appreciate you coming on the show. It's been wonderful so far. So what we do on the hot seat is I'm just going to ask you, 10 questions, and then we'll just in a few words tell me each of the answers. How did your SEAL training and your experience help you handle the physical and emotional pain during your recovery?
SEAL training taught me how to lead myself, and it gave me the foundation of an overcome mindset. I've used all the skills from my SEAL career to help me be successful in life.
Excellent. Let me turn this music down so it doesn't muffle you. What would you want current and former special operations or any military to know about humility, forgiveness, and personal growth?
Ty, can you ask that again? You broke up a little.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you want current and former special operations to know about humility, forgiveness, and personal growth?
Yeah, the military community, we're a bunch of type A's. We're quick to call each other out. People make mistakes. People do dumb things. Take a step back. I mean, I'll tell you what, me failing as a leader is probably the greatest thing that could have happened to me because it taught me humility. I try not to judge. I try not to throw rocks at glass houses, and I try to give people grace who have made mistakes. I think the soft community and the military community could heed some of that. And that's not just our community. I'll tell you what, that's kind of a cultural thing now. We all have these devices where people like to be keyboard warriors and weigh in on people's mistakes and things they've done.
Right. Yeah, that's actually the hook, I think, when I emailed you about some of the stolen valor things, and then just the gnashing of teeth that goes on. And it's not just the special operations community that does it. It's the person that served 4 years. It's people like me that served careers that are just talking shit about things that, regardless of if like, for instance, I'm just going to say it. I didn't talk to you beforehand, but Tim Kennedy had the stolen valor thing, and that's what it is. That's for you guys to adjudicate amongst yourselves. But to me, I mean, Tim Kennedy's still one of the sharpest tools in the American arsenal in the military, and the training that he went through. I know he had stolen valor, but I think that we can overcome some of that. I don't understand where someone can do stolen valor or think that's okay, but people make mistakes, and you don't have to crucify the person. He's still Tim fucking Kennedy is my take on the whole matter. I would want him for his technical acuity, for the family man that he is. And it just pisses me off that as soon as one of you guys make a mistake, people like me that have, counted you guys as heroes all my life, they just fucking tear you down. And it pisses me off. And that's why I emailed you about that specifically, because you said, that you accept it and you hope he moves forward. So if you wouldn't mind, I know we didn't talk about this. I didn't ask if it was all right if I asked this question, but could you wax poetic about that a little bit? Forgiveness, not necessarily Tim Kennedy.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'll talk about Tim too. I mean, Tim's a friend of mine. It's funny because I've been getting all kinds of grief about Tim. A lot of the keyboard warriors out there say, oh, the only reason Jason is the only reason they can fathom that I'm supporting Tim Kennedy is because they say I'm making money from Tim Kennedy, which is hysterical. I've never made a dime from Tim Kennedy. I was not friends with Tim Kennedy for any financial connection. There's nothing I've ever done with him in business. I became friends with Tim Kennedy because we crossed paths during the pullout of guys from Afghanistan. Tim was working with another group with Chad Robichaud. I was working with Scott Mann, Task Force Pineapple. But we crossed paths through that, and that's why I started to get to know him. And I liked him, and we became friends. And what's fascinating to me is what Tim did, I don't agree with. It was wrong. And Tim is working towards owning it. He made the phrase unintentionally. I don't know if he's posted anything else. I don't think so. I've reached out to him and checked on him a few times. But I'll tell you what, when I made a mistake as a leader, it's hard to admit you fucked up on a national scale. And sometimes the ownership of that, when I screwed up as a leader, I didn't come out of the gates and go, boy, I really messed that up. There was a period of time. It took about 6 months for me to fully own it and be like, guess what? You were the cause of all your problems there. And I trust that Tim will grow and ultimately he will come to that conclusion also. But at the same time, he has to pay the man for what he did. That's the reality. And I told him that. I said, you know what, man, you got to own it. You're going to have a ton of people that are going to hate you. I said, but over time, that will pass. There will be a small group who will always hate you because they're just people that are like that. They thrive on hate, and that's what drives them. But the other thing that I found fascinating about Tim Kennedy is, and much love to you, brother. You know I'm in your corner. You know I support you. I don't condone what happened, but you're my friend, and I will continue to stand by you despite what all these ass clowns want to say. But the other thing that was fascinating to me is everybody's trying to cancel Tim, and they're trying to say that, you know, these companies should sue Tim for all the money he made, which is fascinating to me because Black Rifle or whoever hired Tim, they didn't hire Tim because he had a Bronze Star or a Purple Heart. They hired Tim because he was a UFC champion and kicked ass and had created a brand around that. That's why they hired him. That's what they brought him into. Now, not correct for him to, you know, exaggerate or falsely claim he had earned these things, but it didn't impact their marketing campaign because of those things in the moment. So it's just fascinating to me how people spin things based on what they want to talk about. You know, individuals write on my page all the time things that they disagree with related to SEAL operations. You know, Jocko's deployment, there's contention about that. There's contention about Operation Red Wings. There's contention about Extortion 17. I am of the opinion if I wasn't on that mission and there, I'm not going to weigh in because hindsight's always 20/20. And the guys who know what happened are either dead or they're on the other side and they're navigating it. And I'm going to respect them because they're my teammates and they're my friends. And I feel like the veteran community should be that way. But that's just me.
Absolutely. Let's do double screen there real quick, if you don't mind, Matt. So here's what I'll say. We've invited Tim Kennedy on the show, and here's what I remember about Tim Kennedy. We had Nick Palmisano on the show about a year and a half ago, and the heroic stuff that y'all did. I deployed 7 times, and we actually got to know some of our interpreters. I was always regular Army, but all these things that you talk about, I had a front door to history because I was in Kosovo when 9/11 happened. In 2003, I worked for General Petraeus, which opened up a whole world. Being with the MPs and the PSD team that he had, it opened up a whole world that I got to see, and seeing the training that went on and all the MPs and signal people that went on to special operations careers. I mean, you guys are the freaking greatest thing in the world. And for you guys to go back after and go and get our interpreters that served and put their lives and families in danger, direct danger from the Taliban, to go back and get those people. I remember a guy named Yoshi that was our level 2 interpreter, and I spent 3 years in Afghanistan. So I wonder what happened to him, but I have no idea. So hopefully he was.
I didn't go over to Afghanistan. Everything that I did was stateside. It was leveraging networks and obviously understanding, really leveraging a whole bunch of former special operations intel personnel and OGA individuals who all worked together to try and help these individuals out. There was a small group of guys that went over there. I wasn't one of them, so I would never claim that. But, you know, it was just the right thing to do. Afghanistan was a debacle. I mean, what a black eye for our country. To this day, I'm embarrassed by what we did to a nation who believed in us, that we were going to help them, and we were. Afghanistan was a better place before we left, and then the political decisions to turn it back over to the same group we were fighting against in the beginning is just kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, we could go on ad nauseum for that, sir, but I appreciate that. Okay, before we go any further, let's lighten it up a little bit. We'll get back to some easy questions. What's the most unique place on earth you've ever visited?
Wow, that's a great question.
Alabama.
Greenbow, Alabama. Most unique place on earth. Holy smokes, man.
Could be a training event, could be an operation, could be a vacation.
Yeah, man, I've been blessed to be a lot of places. I think I've been to 18 countries is what I figured out. Maybe one of the more unique or just eye-opening things for me was my platoon or my squad when I was in Colombia in 1999, I believe. We were one of the first American military units. We were at the downfall of the cartel wars, and you had the Cali cartel and the Medellin cartel. And we went to Cali, Colombia, working with their Tier 1 unit. And we stayed in an old cartel compound, and beautiful. And I remember, like, in the beginning, like when we first got there, they gave us a tour of the compound, and they were like, "Hey, come check this out." We went downstairs, and in this building that was kind of up at the front of the compound, and down there was like a old torture chamber, and they were like, "This is where the cartel used to torture people," and you could see like the stains still on the floor, and you could see where obviously they had the different things, creative ways to torture people. And that was an eye opener for me. So that was a very unique situation. And yeah, there's a lot of beautiful places in the world, but perspective and what humans can do to other humans is a terrible thing.
Yeah,
I took it down. That should have been an up. That should have been an up thing.
That's cool. That's cool. I've said before on the show that being in the Yucatan Peninsula was really cool, and being in some of those cenotes, that was pretty cool. But then, like, being in the ruins of Babylon, that was pretty surreal. The ruins.
Man, I tell you what, man. When I was in Peru, some of the guys went to Machu Picchu, and I was going to go, but I was young, and all I wanted to do was party. And they were leaving at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, man, I'm still going to be at the club at that time. So I didn't go. I was an idiot, and to this day, I regret that. But I've had so many amazing life experiences. I've done amazing vacations. I've got to go beautiful places. So yeah, I would never complain, man. I'm thankful.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. All right. One conversation for 1 hour with one person from history. Who's it going to be and what you going to talk about?
George Washington. And I'd just be curious to hear his thoughts on creating the country and the conviction. He's one of my favorite leaders. The conviction he had through the winter of at Valley Forge was just, I think, a greatest testament to an overcome mindset and conviction as a leader. I mean, even Washington's own friends were questioning his leadership. And here was a guy who didn't even want to do it. He just wanted to go back to Mount Airy and or Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon.
Yeah, Mount Vernon and be with Martha. And instead, man, he stayed the course. And we wouldn't have a nation if it wasn't for his conviction. So I'd love to just talk to him about that and his thoughts on where we are now. With this, as time and Constitution. There are people who want to take a more progressive view of the Constitution, which I don't believe in. I think what our founding fathers wrote was groundbreaking, and I think it transcended even technology. It's because what it captured was humanity. So I'd just be curious his thoughts.
I appreciate that. That's some waxing poetic right there. All right, sir. What drives you in life right now as of 7 August 2025?
I want to be the elite version of me. I think God has an elite version of every individual, and there are different components of it. There's a personal, there's physical, and there's a professional. And those change with time. And I think God wants us to be the elite version of ourselves, leveraging all our gifts and our strengths and trying everything we can to minimize our weaknesses and, our temptations and all these things. And that's what I hope to accomplish. I mean, that drives me. I get up, I continue to work out hard. I continue to try and become the best professional level that I want to achieve. I hope that I'm making those connections with my friends and family. I am a workaholic, so that's probably one that I always can work a little harder on. But that's what drives me. When I check out, if I die tomorrow or if I die, hopefully, in my 80s, enjoying my grandkids, I'm going to look back and say, man, I went after it every day. Every day I tried to be better, and I tried to be the elite version of Jason Redman. Never, I try not to compare myself to other people because they're not me and I'm not them. I only can be the greatest version of myself, and that's what I should be striving for every day.
Absolutely. Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
I worry about the future. I won't lie. We're in it's an interesting world. Crime and violence are real, happening all over the place. There's been no country in the history of the world that's maintained its elite level for so long. Rome fell, all these different places fell. Can America continue that? I feel like we're becoming a little lax. I feel like we're losing some of the drive that makes Americans who they are. We're getting this culture of apathy, if you will. People who don't want to lead, people who, just a socialist view is growing within our younger generation. And I worry that could lead to the downfall of America. There's been no socialist country in the history of the world that's been truly successful. It doesn't exist. And yet there's this elite mindset of, we'll do it different and it'll work. But the problem is you're fighting against humanity. If you try and make everything equal, then where's the incentive to be better? And now it becomes a race to the bottom. Well, there's no incentive for me to be good if he does nothing and I'm doing all the work, but he gets the same amount that I get, and I might as well just stop working because there's no point. And then ultimately the whole system collapses, and now you're having to use violence and other means to try and force people to do things just to keep society working. That's the problem with socialism and communism. So I worry about that. Like, what will the future look like? I feel like my kids may not experience it. I don't know, but I worry for my grandkids.
Yeah, I feel like we've become exceedingly excellent at manufacturing things, but we've kind of tapered off on building and creating things more like infrastructure and better ways to do things that are better for us. We've gotten way too far into technology, and we've stopped farming and stopped learning how to live off the land, build stuff ourselves. Everything's automated at the push of a button. And like you said, that's how Rome fell. They had done so well and conquered so much that they wanted to chill in their hot waters and bathhouses. So, yeah. But anyway,
AI is amazing. I mean, we're using it at a very high level in TurboVets. We're using it. And I do think that, enable us to work smarter, not harder. But you got to leverage it, for all the veterans out there, this system's coming to you guys. You need to use it to be the best version of you. You need to leverage it so that you can be better, so that you are going after the job, so that you have more time to do the things, to be with your family, to be more physical, to have a better job, better education, all the better financial literacy. That's what you need to be leveraging it for, not so that you can just sit around and play video games all day or do nothing or whatever it is people do who are lazy as fuck.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
That's okay. That's okay. That's why we got Triple H with the new Get People Moving Again program. You know, I'm glad to see that.
I'm so happy they brought that back, man. The presidential fitness test.
Yeah, I'm on a weight loss journey myself. I about 2 years ago when we started the podcast, I was about 368, so I'm down in the 320s now, and I'm trying to get back to some type of fighting weight here. So I keep talking shit to all my military buddies, and you know they come through and you know encourage me. So it's been a lot of fun. But anyway, last question, sir. Last question. This is the important one. All right, who's the greatest of all time? Is it Michael Jackson or Prince?
I'm a Prince fan, man. I'm a Prince fan. Yep. Purple Rain, 1999. When Doves Cry. Gotta say it.
Yeah, as you can see, it's a contentious race there, but Prince is pulling ahead now, 37-29. So last question before we get you off the hot seat, sir. What can we do to get better as a podcast? What can we do to get off our X? Because after listening to the first part of the interview, I feel like I've been on the fucking X for about 8 years, and I know my wife is listening. So, baby, I think Lieutenant Redman just got me off the X. So we're going to start to achieve some dreams, Sarah. Sarah Kyle is probably watching. Appreciate you. But what can we do to get better as a podcast, sir?
You know, I mean, the question becomes for anyone when I talk about how do we get better, the question is where you want to go? Is what you're doing taking you where you want to go? And if it's not, then you got to change what you're doing. And that means we identify a new plan. I'm really a big fan, like I said, write your own sign on the door. What do you want your sign on the door to say? And it doesn't have to be complicated. My sign on the door was long because I'm a wordy motherfucker. But, you know, it can be, hey, I want to be the best podcaster and father and the best version of myself. And put that up on a mirror, man, and then develop a plan. And in the days when you don't feel like working out or you don't feel like putting in the effort or doing research or, you know, whatever it is, look at that every day. You get up, you see it, you go to bed, you see it. And it reminds you, like, that's where I want to be. Write those goals down, where you want to go. I have a 10-year plan I'm trying to execute. I set a high-level financial goal, and there are things that are tied to it. One of the big things that are tied to my financial goal, we were relatively poor when I was a kid. We didn't do a lot of vacations. I want to have enough money that my kids, grandkids, I can take them anywhere I want to go in the world for a vacation every single year, and they never have to pay a dime. All they have to worry about is blocking off the time. So in order to accomplish that, there are big things that I have to do to get to that level. I'm 2 years into this 10-year plan, so I got 8 years to go. So what I tell people is, yeah, man, just if where you're currently at is not where you want to be, well, then guess what? You need a new plan. And then you need to figure out the action steps, you know, and you take it one step at a time. No different than anything else we did in the military. You know, we didn't win wars with one step. It was, you know, step by step. It was training and execution and flanking and maneuvering and taking ground and then building bases. And then we continue to move forward. Your life is no different.
Appreciate it, sir. Well, you're officially out of the Triple Threat Vet hot seat. Let me bring the guys back in. How about that, fellas?
Best answers ever. That's how it works, dude. That's how it works.
You know,
Well, I would ask Jason, I know that we've talked a lot about you and things that you're doing, and you brought up a couple of things that you're doing to help active duty vets, and you have a lot of ventures that help people in general. So from this, if somebody wanted to reach out to you and see what you could do to help them or inquire, how can people get a hold of you, and how can they take advantage of trying to figure out how you can help get them pointed in the right direction?
Several things. I mean, my website is jasonredman.com, so you can find me on there. I'm on all the socials. I will say I'm most active on Instagram. We post on everything. I'm probably the least active on Twitter. I probably only post there about once a week. I also, if you on the bottom of my email, on the bottom of my website, you can sign up for our mailing list. We put out an email once a week, 2 at most, but my weekly email is like leadership. I call it Monday Muster. I put it out every Monday. And it's about leadership. It's about resilience. It's about growth mindset. It's about financial, a money mindset. It's about all the things for you to be better. I also am part of a coaching group. I'm only doing group coaching right now. I'm not doing any one-on-one coaching because I'm too busy right now with the different businesses I'm involved in, with the number one being Turbo Vets. We launch on Veterans Day. There is no doubt that we're going to change lives with this. So that is my front side focus right now. So that's where you can find me. I do have a group coaching group. It's called Legacy Tribe. We open it up 4 times a year. Myself, a buddy of mine, an entrepreneur, Bedros Koulian, and Bryce Henson. And the 3 of us, we each coach once a week. But you have resources. You're part of a Facebook group of other entrepreneurs who are all trying to get better, and it's been a great group. So yeah, those are the things I'm doing. And then the last thing I got Patriot Seltzer. So a couple of guys and I created Patriot Seltzer. They created it. I joined the team shortly after, but it is an amazing product. It's a whiskey-based hard seltzer, 4 flavors, cherry cola, we got green apple, we got peach tea, and we got lemonade, and people love it. Right now, we are hopefully closing our next investment round, which is going to enable us to get it out there more. Right now, you can order it, and we're only selling in New Jersey. But our goal, obviously, is to grow and get it out there. A portion of the proceeds go back to support our veterans. We have Proud Patriots on the can. Our focus is to honor those who have fought and sacrificed for this country. So right now, I'm on the can, but our new run that will go soon, we have 4 Proud Patriots. I'll be the military Proud Patriot. We have a law enforcement, former ATF guy, Lou Belose, amazing guy. We have Tim Brown, friend of mine, former FDNY firefighter, survived the towers falling. And then we just got Nikki Selby, who was a flight medic, and she is a current flight medic. So we want to honor that medical community. So Patriot Seltzer tastes good, and it has an amazing cause.
I'm ready to.
We like to drink. Any reason for us on this podcast to get a drink in, I'm sold. Like, let's go. I'll take it to the gym. I'll drink it at the gym. You know what I mean? I can be like, it's a seltzer. It doesn't even count.
Beverage, man. We were really. Most seltzers I drink are too sweet and they're too bubbly. And we made it so it's less carbonated. It's not sweet. Like I said, it's whiskey based. Man, the people who have drank, it's phenomenal on the golf course. I love the golf. So it's perfect.
I love it.
It's phenomenal for barbecues around the trailer park for all you out there that are like me. We're hanging out in the trailer hood. Get you a case of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
goes nice with Busch Light and some Savannah sausages.
Yup.
So I don't know what you're doing September 15th, but we do have our 4th annual golf tournament. If you're available, I'll send this information to you. Don't worry.
I appreciate the invite. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay. No commitment, sir. It's all good.
Yeah, I do know my rebirthday is the 13th, so that is a pretty special day for me. So I don't know what I'll be doing.
So we've got a lot of comments coming in. Go Medics! Such an amazing time tonight, Jason. You're so inspiring. So, sir, I can't say thank you enough for coming on with Matt Johnson, our senior chief moderator, Albert Hero, senior chief in the Navy as well. I was a sergeant first class in the Army. We didn't get a chance to talk to you beforehand, so appreciate it so much. You coming on the show, sharing your knowledge with us, and any way we can support you in the future. If you're in Houston or Pensacola, we got you, sir.
Awesome. I love both those places. So guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate your service. For everybody that's out there, that's a veteran, thank you for what you've done. And if you don't feel like you've accomplished your American dream yet, man, I want to challenge you to go after it. We're going to give you the tools. TurboVet's going to help you. And I want to see every veteran out there like content, like, hey, I sacrificed this for this country and I'm there. But don't forget, you are the problem and you are the solution. It takes action.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it, LT.
All right, sir. I appreciate you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Jason Redman.
Boom. Good night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Jeez, how about that?
Dude, I tell you what, my phone was programmed for any word that sounds like that, it's going to go off. I say hi to my daughter. The phone's like, I don't understand. I just was like, yes, sir. And my phone went, uh-huh. Fuck, dude.
It's listening in on us because we have.
Yeah, it is. You know, that's how it goes. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what do we got coming up here? So next week, we got a treat for you. It's a soldier that served with me during a 15-month deployment in Iraq, and this I think was my fifth or sixth deployment. And he was one of my knockaround guys. So he was one of my 25 Bravos. Robert Romelli, Army veteran, IT guy. He's wicked smart, you know.
Wicked smart.
Yeah, he's got a cool story. He had a TBI injury from. We'll save that story, and he'll be able to tell that next week. But he was one of my knockaround guys, and he meant a lot to me in that large group of people that that gave me that flag right there. So appreciate it. And man, that was a cool thing from Jason. I mean, that was probably the best hot seat we've done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a guy that lives what he's telling you to go do, right? Like, you got to be motivated and you got to do the things. But the thing that I like that he said is you can clearly tell that he's had his moments even after that, right? Yeah, great. I was tough and brave and I did all these things, but I still had my moments after, and you just got to get over them. Like, you're listening to a real human being describe real things, and one that did superhuman things, but he's never going to say that he's going to be superhuman forever. That's what I like about guys like. It was cool to listen to and hear his mindset of things are, a lot along the way of things that we tell people here, like preparing to get out, and only you can make the difference, right? It's really, when you think about it, very simple things. You have to have the right mindset to do it. And I'm telling you, if he was telling me to get off my ass and go do it, I probably would. Like, I mean, come on, dude. You're not gonna be like, I can't. He's gonna be like, what the fuck do you mean you can't?
It hurts.
You can do anything,
So what do you know about this, Matt? I saw that you made a new part on the website. So this is the barcode to get you to the triple threat portion of the website.
Hell yeah. I even made a grouping of these so that you could go in there and buy one. And it's only these shirts. Remember, we're doing this through the end of the year. I know it was a whole year, and I get it. Maybe you're bored, but the nonprofits are trying to support. They're not bored. They're doing golf tournaments, taking people to go march Kilimanjaro. They're trying to get veterans out on the field so that they can play sports to get over it. They're helping veterans get through their combat PTSD trauma. Look, all these organizations are doing great things. However, we want to try to support and give them as much money as we can, and that means y'all got to open that checkbook. There ain't no tariff problems over here.
Every t-shirt you buy comes with a free hand job from one of the hosts behind the Taco Bell in Houston.
Does it? Well, you better move here because
no,
you guys ain't giving hand jobs, bro.
It's only in Houston. Oh shit! Yeah, buy our shirts. Come on and buy these shirts so we can support some veteran organizations. Let's stop being punks about it.
For Christ's sake, Al can't be winning. You know what I mean? Y'all can tell already his family ran out of money. He ain't buying no more Al shirts.
Post-dated checks are bouncing all over.
Yeah, brother, they bouncing. So anybody that's out there, go grab you one or all three. Just get them and let's go. Welcome back, Morgan. It's good to see you. I'm glad that we could make you laugh and cry all in the same time that Kevin is hiccuping. Tell him to drink more beer next time, and that won't happen. Just saying.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, let's bounce out of here.
Yeah.
Do it next time. Go ahead, Matt.
For sure. Well, I mean, I'm just going to say, as always, thank you for joining us and listening to us talk with someone that's amazing, doing amazing things. And by the way, is a veteran. You know, everybody out there can have the same stories and they can have the same outcomes, but you're going to have to work towards them. It's okay to fail. It's okay to succeed, and it's okay to ask for help. So if that's what you're trying to do, we look forward to seeing you next week. Invite somebody next week, like, subscribe, share. Comes out every Friday on all of the platforms that you listen to your podcasts. We love you guys. We'll see you later. And don't forget the Whiskey Story shirt. The Whiskey Story shirt. The Whiskey Story shirt. That's the one you got to buy. See everybody next week.
Yeah, this is Hand Job Hero. We're here live in effect in the building. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't. I mean, Matt kind of said it all. I don't have much to say. I just want to tell everybody thank you again for following. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Check on somebody this week. Make sure they're doing good. So, reach out to a battle buddy. It don't take much. Text message or a phone call. Love y'all.
Love you. I love you. Hey, before we close it out, I wanted to make sure that since we had, Jason Redman on, I wanted to make sure today is August 7th. Yesterday, August 6th, 2011 is when Extortion 17 happened. So I'm going to read all the names because just to honor our fallen heroes. Alexander Bennett, Spencer Duncan, Brian Nichols, David Carter, Patrick Hamburger, John Brown, Andrew Harvell, Daniel Zerb, Derek Benson, Brian Bill, Christian Campbell, Jared Day, John Duingdara, and Navy SEAL Dog Bart, John Foss, Kevin Houston, Jonas Kelzal, Louis Langless, Matthew Mason, Stephen Mills, Nicholas Knoll, Jesse Pittman, Thomas Ratzlaff, Robert Reeves, Heath Robinson, Nicholas Spihar, Michael Strange, John Tumlison, Aaron Vaughn, Craig Vickers, and Jason Workman. That was Extortion 17, August 6, 2011, in honor of our fallen heroes. You have a great night.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.